and today we'll be speaking for the negative part of whether the U.S. should allow the legalization of organ selling, and for us it's a no-go. So before I get started, I'm going to repeat some definitions that Ms. Esmeralda did here. An organ donation takes a healthy organ and tissue from one person for transplantation into another. And like she said, organs can include kidneys, heart, liver, pancreas, intestines, lungs, skin, and etc. And some other items that might come up in our side is altruism, which is a belief in or practice of disinterested and selfless concern for the well-being of others, and transplant tourism, which typically refers to the practice of traveling outside the country of residence to obtain organ transplantation. So before I get a head start on responding to Ms. Esmeralda, I'm going to give you guys a little background information about us. So the National Organ Transplant Act of 1984, or the NOTA, made buying and selling organs for transplantation illegal in the United States. It states that it is a crime for any person to knowingly acquire, receive, or otherwise transfer any human organ for valuable consideration for use in human transplantation, if the transfer affects interstate commerce. The Act also established the Organ Procurement and Transplantation Network, or the OPTN, to maintain a national registry for organ matching. This network is operated by a private, non-profit organization under federal contract. Another private, non-profit organization that manages the nation's organ transplant system under contract with the federal government is the United Network for Organ Sharing, or also known as UNOS. Patients who are in need of an organ transplant are evaluated by a transplant physician, who then determine if and when they should be placed on the waiting list. So in response to their significance claims for loss of life, I'm sorry, I should have unstapled this. For their loss of life, oh my gosh, how embarrassing, I'm so sorry. Oh, the staples are good. Okay, cool. I'm actually going to respond first to the, how they would close down the black market. So first of all, ending the black market takes more than a law. Dr. Francis Delmonico, which is a director of transplants at Massachusetts General Hospital, states, despite the intentions of those who would suggest that an organ market could be regulated, it's impossible to do so. A market for organ sales enables brokers and extra payments, and in a global society, the market cannot be restricted to the United States. And also another statement, trades within the black market would continue even without regulation. Another, Katrina A. Branstad, professor of medical ethics at Bond University, School of Medicine, also stated, even a regulated system of organ sales will not prevent the inevitable backdoor. Truly informed decision-making is important. In response to, their monetary issues, dialysis does take upon a lot of money on a patient and how the money is used, but a lot of the money that is used is coming from Medicare, and if you place a monetary value on a organ, it does you do encounter the possibility of exploiting the poor. And touching their topic on how Iran is actually the first country to legalize the selling of organs, there has been proof that by Monir Suman, which is an anthropologist at Michigan State University. He did research out there by interviewing the poor who have actually sold their organs to the wealthy, and he stated that his briefing included the experience of Mehdi Hassan, a 23-year-old rickshaw puller who sold part of his liver to a wealthy recipient in Bangladesh. Like many poor third-world residents, Hassan did not know what a liver was. The broker exploited this fact and told Hassan that this would make him rich. The recipient died soon after the transplant. Hassan received only part of the money he was promised and is now too sick to work, walk long distances, or even breathe properly. So although the poor are promised that, or donors in general are promised money, there is actually no there's no way of reassuring that they actually receive everything that they do, and especially in third world countries. For our end, our idea would be to improve the system instead of bringing a new system into the United States. For example, Dr. Dory Seeger, which is an associate professor of surgery at Johns Hopkins School of Medicine, stated, "Imagine now we take hundreds or maybe thousands of people off the list and everybody behind them moves forward. So people with the HIV are I totally forgot to say that. I am so sorry. My head's not with me straight. On November 21st, 2015, which was actually less than a year ago, UNOS updated their national transplant policies and data system to support a federal law that will allow the use of HIV-positive donor organs for HIV-positive candidates. So this actually knocked down hundreds of donors off the list because they were, instead of waiting for a good organ that was HIV negative, they actually have the possibility to receive an HIV positive organ. So the Federal HIV Organ Policy Equity Act, which is also known as HOPE, is expected to allow more organs from HIV negative donors to be used for HIV negative candidates. And also the new kidney allocation system, which is also known as the KAS, changed their policies to increase transplants to the most difficult to match patients and those who were on dialysis for a long time before listed for a kidney. So those who have been on dialysis the longest actually get bumped up on the list if it falls under the kidney allocation system. And we do understand that there is a worldwide organ shortage and has been a long-standing problem for decades. But knowingly there is a lack of public education on how to become an organ donor. To improve organ donations, both deceased and living, a study was imposed on 739 respondents by Dr. Dory Seeger, showing that 75% supported presumed consent and 18% requested improved public education on how to become an organ donor. Thank you.